Hello everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to TSW4 and today we are on the East Coastway. You've not seen me play this for a long time. Not only are we on the East Coastway, we are in the 313, which was a lovely little loco DLC which runs on here, and on the London commuter I think it's just those two places. So we're going to have a look at that. We'll get the cab set up. We'll get ready to go and we'll talk about where we're going and, importantly, why we're doing it as well, because there is a reason for that. So let's get the reverser into forwards and we'll get the doors open so people can get on board. We have got the lights. The instrument lights are on bright. That's fine. The DRA is off. Let's do that whilst we're here as well. Let's have the safety systems on. There's the DSD. Let's just cancel that. Okay, excellent. Let's have a quick look outside. Oh wow, look at everybody getting on and off. We're at Seaford, by the way. So this service is going from Seaford to Brighton. It's about half an hour, something like that. We can get the doors locked. We can get out of this madness. There's people still trying to rush on. Let's get the brakes off. Off we go. Bishopstone is the first stop. So this is all stops to Brighton. So when we did the live stream the other week with the 218, the early access look at the 218, I talked about doing a series going back using the excellent spreadsheet that JasonPFC has put together. He's put together a spreadsheet showing every route, every DLC, and all the layers for each DLC and where certain things run, where they don't run, etc. So he's put all this together. And what I've said we would do is we would start a series going back through his spreadsheet and not in any particular order. So we're not doing it in release order or we're not doing it all UK then all US. We'll just pick out random ones. I'm just going to tick off. We're going to cover everything over a period of probably months. It's going to take us, if not more. We'll cover it all off. We'll tick it off as we go. And I looked down the list this morning and thought, right, okay, why don't we start with the East Coastway, which is a very popular route with many, many players, and also the 313. So as I mentioned at the beginning, the 313 was a local DLC. It didn't come with the standard route for East Coastway. So by doing this, we're covering two DLCs, East Coastway and the 313. So that's where I'm starting. So I'll do a couple of these as recorded videos like this one, but the majority of the longer runs we'll do as live streams. So keep your eye on those in the schedule. Anyway, we've got Bishopstone coming up, so I'm going to get ready for this. I'm a little bit behind time because we were talking at the beginning, but it's about having a look at the route and the DLC rather than anything else. Let's get the throttle off and we'll start putting some brake in. Can't remember actually how good the braking is. This is a very nice little local DLC. Lots of players got excited about this when this was being released. I'm not familiar with it because it's obviously a little bit too south for me. I think these have all been withdrawn now, if I remember correctly. But there's a lot of nostalgia in the community with this one. We do have something very similar, the 314, the ScotRail 314, which I think we've got on Cathcart Circle. That's very similar to this. But as you can see, it's a nice little unit. It's quite nippy. I've got to tell you though, since the passengers have been upgraded on the East Coastway, it's much, much better. It just is, isn't it? It just, on PlayStation, I'm on the PlayStation now. Right at the beginning on TSW, we had very few passengers on PlayStation. Well, probably on Xbox as well, actually, because of the resource limitations with the console. And then Dovetail managed to find a way around that. And now we have got sort of PC level amounts of passengers, which is really, really nice. It adds so much to the immersion. I mean, look at this packed train that we've got. And we can see here we've got Portsmouth, Chichester, Bognor, Littlehampton, Worthing, Brighton, Lewes, Seaford, Eastbourne, and all the little, all the regular sort of landmarks that you can see. And this is in the southern livery, of course, which in itself is quite nice. It's like a kind of mint green, grey, white, really nice. Let's just acknowledge that warning board. So you've got longer services between Brighton and Eastbourne on this DLC, of course, but these ones down to Seaford are quite nice, just for a short hop. And the Class 66 is also part of this route as well. So some freight operations. There's we'll pass it very shortly after New Haven Harbour. There's an aggregates terminal there. And some of the 66 runs are quite nice as well. There's also rail tours. I think we get the 377. I get mixed up with my 37s because we've got a 375 as well on different routes, haven't we? I think it's a 377 we get a standard on this route. Again, I've not been on East Coastway for so long. If it wasn't for Jason's spreadsheet, I'd forget a lot of it. I am going to put a link, by the way, to the spreadsheet in the description below. So if you don't know what I'm talking about at the moment with that, go and check out the link in the description. Pick that up. I think you'll find that very useful. It will also help you as well if you've got some... What did I do then? Did I brake too severely? It will also help you as well if you're missing some DLCs and there's a sale on and you want to have a look at what runs were, you can see if you pick up a particular DLC, loco DLC, because there's a lot of confusion, and there's been confusion with the 218 which has just come out. So with the 218 you needed Hamburg Lübeck before you'll be able to run it anywhere else with any layers, because people have said to me, well, I've got Novarco Dresden, why can't I use the 218? You can if you've got Hamburg Lübeck first. So Jason's spreadsheet will actually show you the routes and what the base routes are for each of the local DLC. So if you're going back in a sale and thinking, I never actually picked up the 204 or something like that, you'll be able to see what you actually need to be able to run it in the first place. So it's handy for that too. But on the PlayStation I've got every DLC, so we're going to use it just to check those off, and we'll cover every single DLC. Now there's a couple of those I'm not looking forward to. Oakville being one of them. It's just never been one of my favourite routes, Oakville and Arosa line. Arosa is growing on me a little bit, but the problem with Arosa now is the mountains. It's just the mountains. I think we've been spoilt by a couple of the other mountainous routes that we've had recently with the excellent looking scenery in the background, and it's like Arosa probably needs a little bit of an upgrade, let's say, if that's ever possible. I don't know if that will ever be a thing, but we can always hope, because some of the older routes have been upgraded. You'll see when we get on this series, when we get to West Somerset, for example. West Somerset is a very nice. It was always a very nice DLC anyway. I quite liked it, but it looks really good now that it's been upgraded and the traffic's been improved. And I'm already speeding, so I'm quite looking forward to going back to West Somerset. Cathcart Circle is going to be out imminently. The upgraded, revisited Cathcart Circle. That's going to be quite a nice route. That has had the treatment with the Todd 4 lighting, etc., and a brand new timetable. So, Arosa, it might get upgraded at some point. keep our fingers crossed, I think, for that one, because it is a nice route. Right, let's get stopped here. This is New Haven Town. We'll get everybody on board. We're a little bit behind time, but that's fine. This GSMR, you can't do a lot with this. You can only change the bright. You can contact the signaller through there. Change the brightness, and I think that's pretty much all you can do. You can't even run a test on this one. There's no test sequence. The power's there, on and off. And it doesn't even come with the service number on this one. So I think this is probably one of the earliest GSMRs we've got. There is still no fully working GSMR in TSW, which is a bit of a shame, because it's fun using it in TS Classic. A lot of the Armstrong Powerhouse DLCs have got working GSMR. But anyway, let's have a listen to the horn on the 313, shall we? It's a nice unit. Here's the aggregates terminal I was telling you about. So we'll have a quick look at this. Now sometimes, depending on what service you're doing, you will see a 66 just hanging around here, loading up. So on this route there are some services where you do actually come down here and do the loading and unloading. So if freight is your thing, it has a little bit of freight. There's the actual loading terminal itself. So let's go to Southeast. We can do 70 on this stretch. If there's any particular routes or DLCs you want me to show early in this series, let me know. We can cover that off. I'm going to try and mix it up a little bit and not cover any one country in a a specific order. I'll try and randomize it if possible. If we can cover 2 DLCs in one, like we're doing now, so we've got the 313 and East Coastway, so we're kind of doing 2 in 1 with this. We'll do that as well, and we will cover some of the longer runs of the US freight as well, which a lot of people don't tend to stream. And I think because there's it's a long end-to-end sort of journey, isn't it, for a lot of those? But I don't mind doing those. We'll definitely do those on a live stream where we can have a bit more of a chat while we're doing it. But yeah, if there's any particular routes you want to see before others, drop it in a comment and I'll push those up the list perhaps, if we get enough interest in those. A few crossings on this stretch. We've got 0.8 of a mile to Southeast, so I'll just put a slight bit of brake in. Just thinking about the passengers. We don't want them spilling the coffee that they bought at Seaford. There's still quite a few on board, which is nice to see. We're going for a day out at Brighton. Well, they may have been for a day out at Seaford, but actually saying that, it's only 7 minutes past 10 in the morning. So they're more likely to be on the way out somewhere, aren't they? This is Southeast. So we'll just gently come in, get everybody on board. Now Southeast, this platform, I don't know the area. I'm not from round here, obviously, but I always think that this one, there's a lot of people on there, but it looks as if this is basically in the middle of nowhere. We'll just have a quick look round once we start getting everybody on board. there's not a lot around here unless there's a town or a little village hidden somewhere. Do you see what I mean? There's not a lot around. There's a couple of houses down there. There's a few houses, but there's not a lot. You can see the passengers spawning behind this shed. Look, they keep jumping out of this shed. There they go. But you know what I mean? There's not a lot around here. There's no car park. There's no cars. So where's everybody coming from? Let me know if you know if there's a village at southeast that's just not. Maybe it's just not depicted in the DLC. It could just be that. Right, Lewis is next, which is kind of like a sort of a very intertwined terminal point, isn't it, Lewis? With lines coming in from all directions, and actually, it's a very nicely modelled station. You'll see that as we go. But look at some of the great scenery we've got on this route. Very nice mixture of countryside and towns. Looks like a lovely area, actually. And you got the coast, obviously, so you've got the Brighton coast just over there, and obviously it's Seaford. Seaford was right on the coast when we first left at Seaford. Let's have a listen what it's like in the cab with the windows up. You can hear the aircon. What we got the aircon on? It says it's off. Let's put it on high. Don't think it makes a difference to the sound actually. Let's just make sure we're not speeding. So yeah, this 313 as well. You can do a few runs on London Commuter. There's quite a few depot moves on London Commuter of sort of 6 and 7 minutes, but there are a couple of longer journeys, longer timetable services that you can do on London Commuter in the 313 of like half an hour plus. I think they're empty stop moves coming down to Lovers Walk Depot, which is just outside of Brighton Station. So there's a little bit of variety there, and we've got a 40 coming up. Coming right up, actually. So let's get that speed off. There we go. So the big junction is coming up here, so from left to right, so we've got Lewis on the left, and off to the right is where you go off to Eastbourne, which we'll take a look at. Some of the rail tours you'll find on the channel. I did a couple of rail tours in the old BR Blue diesels as well, and I've gone from Brighton to Eastbourne a couple of times. I think we did the 31. We may have even done the Class 40, but they're on the channel somewhere if you want to have a look at those. If you want to look at a little bit more East Coastway, there's plenty of East Coastway on there actually, right from when it was very first released, if you want to go and have a look. I've done some of the scenarios on there as well. Today is all about going back and having a quick look, because we just don't get to play some of these DLCs anymore. Now there's so many. It's nice just to go back, you know. So we've got a 66 in the platform, you can see. And I don't know why, there's some peculiarity at this unit. where I keep coming to a complete stop, which I'm not familiar with. I've got to admit, I'm going to have to look into that once I finish. If I put the full braking on, it doesn't let me. Just drop me a comment if you know about that. It doesn't let me carry on without acknowledging the pedal there, and that lets me carry on. So there's a 66 in this side with its hoppers empty, so it'll be going to fill up. Here is the standard 377 in Southern livery, which comes with the route, which is quite nice. And that will be, I assume, that's off to either Seaford or down to Eastbourne. I didn't see the PIS on the front. There's another 313 there on the left-hand side. So we do have a green here, if we can get everybody on board. We're actually running late, which is probably why. Probably wants us to get out the way. So we've got this chap, he's not in service, he's just sat there, everybody's waiting to get on. I don't know what service that is going to be. Let's have a quick look. That will be the 10:23 to Brighton, so he'll be behind us. So if they're all waiting to go to Brighton, don't do it. Jump on here. We're leaving first. Get on board. We're going quick. I think they'd rather, it's probably because it's me driving, they'd rather wait another 8 minutes and get there in safety, I think. Right, Farmer is next. I like the ruins of the Abbey, which is coming up just on the left-hand side. We'll have a quick look at that as well as we leave. Just as we go up to speed, the ruins of the Abbey are on the left-hand side. There's the 55 board. If you start to look over there, that's great. I love that. It's nice that that's in. Right, let's get up to speed. See if we can claw any of this time back at all. Although we haven't really got far to go to Brighton, so probably not. We've got Farmer, Moulscombe, London Road and Brighton. So I'm looking forward to this series. I think it'll be a good series, especially the live streams, because I know a lot of you have been around in TSW for a long time, so you've probably got your own stories to share about certain DLCs and certain routes and trains that you've played in TSW. So it'll be good to discuss those, find out what your favourites are, which ones you bought and you didn't really enjoy. As I mentioned, Oakville. I was waiting for Oakville to be released. I remember quite liked the idea of it, and then I got into it and I didn't. I've got one of those emergency brakes again there. That's weird. I got into Oakville on the day and played it, and then I thought, it's not, I don't know if it's my cup of tea, this one. I think it's because it's a straight route. So yeah, so Oakville I didn't get into as much. It's a good route. I just didn't get into it as much as some of the others. But I know, like, some of you, on the other hand, will really like Oakville. So I'm interested to know what your favourites and least favourites are. So it'd be good to have a discussion about that. So I think the next live one we'll do a slightly long one, so we can get into that. 3.2 miles to Farmer. So yeah, I am driving this one terribly today. I'm not understanding why I'm coming to a complete stop. I've done the tutorial for this unit when it was released. It's been out a couple of years at least. It wasn't a TSW4 DLC. Could have been TSW2, would it have been? I really can't recall. But it is a long time since. See there, I've just got... There's something... It's the DSD, isn't it? The DSD is not warning me. Right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn it off. I'm not getting an alarm for the DSD. So I'm going to turn it off. I think that's what it is. I think there's an issue with that. Right. Let's do this again. And let's see how we get on. I'm almost sure, in the back of my mind, I kind of knew about that, but forgot. It's easily a year since I've used this DLC, I would say. Easily. And I bet a few of you have been shouting at me, don't put the DSD on! It's not giving you an alarm. And I bet that's what it is. So I'm thinking I'm braking too severely or something like that, and it's making me stop completely, when really it's the DSD. The AWS is sounding absolutely fine. I don't know if that DSD is broken then, because you should get an alarm for that. Or else everybody would be stopping. So actually, I'm not driving the train terribly. It's not working right. That would help. I'd have a fair crack at it then. Anyway, let's get to Farmer. We've still got just under 2 miles to go. Nice weathering on the front. Look, all the flies stuck to the front. Nice tilt into that curve there as well. We do have a 60 just before the platform, but we'll need to be slower than that anyway to stop at Farmer. So I'm going to make a note in my little book. So I have a notepad which I write in little peculiarities. I can't even say it. Peculiarities of DLCs, especially for when I'm not running them that often. So if there's things I need to remember, I have a book with all that in, and I will make a note of the DSD issue for next time. I mean, it may even be in there. I didn't consult the book before I started. I mean, if you're going to write stuff in a book, you should generally look at it, shouldn't you, before you start driving, to see if there's anything particular to this unit. But this is Farmer. I think, unless I'm mistaken as well, this is the stop for Brighton Football Club, which is off to our left-hand side. So we'll have a quick look there as well. Helps if I brake without the throttle on, doesn't it, as well, really? There's the football ground. Is it the Amex Stadium? It was, if it isn't now. They have all these football grounds have all these new names now, don't they? based on the sponsors. So I had to keep up with them. Right, we'll get these doors locked. Off we go. No issues with setting off or getting stuck now. The DSD is off. I'm assuming that that's a bug then, that we can't hear the alarm going off. And if it is a bug, it's a little bit strange that it hasn't been fixed after all this time. Given the fact it's been out so long. Mulescombe. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Mulescombe. Looks like it's either Mulescombe or Mulescombe. It's got a double O. Mulescombe. Could be Mulescombe. Anyway, that's where we're headed next. It's just over a mile. About 3 or 4 minutes behind time. In step 2, brakes. Make sure the throttle is off this time. I've got the dynamic weather on, by the way, for this service. You can just see a little bit of haze there as a 313 appears in the other platform. Yeah, so the other thing as well is, of course, that adding the 313, if you've just got the East Coastway, adding the 313 also provides a lot more AI traffic as well, which just makes it such more of a busier route. I'm sure this route is actually quite busy in real life. So that just pumps up the number of AI passing us. If we'd have timed it right, we probably would have seen one of the rail tours. I think they're all kind of midday-ish though, the rail tours, if I remember rightly. There is a bit of fog there coming up. Right, that's Mulescombe. Let's get the brakes off. London Road is next, which is right a stone's throw before we get to Brighton itself. So and Brighton actually is Brighton the only station? Oh, that looks quite white, doesn't it? Is Brighton the only station that appears in 2 separate DLCs? Because it appears in the East Coastway, and it is also there again, albeit a different time period, in London Commuters. So it's in twice. Are there any? I'm just trying to think. Are there any other stations that appear twice? Maybe a couple of the New York DLCs. The stations appear twice. But I think UK, there's just Brighton that appears in 2 different DLCs, which is quite interesting. London Commuter is a route that I'm looking forward to covering as part of this series. Because I love a long run. And we'll get a decent run with the London Commuter. I wonder what that lady was doing then. She looked like she was going to fall off into the track. which we obviously don't want. Right, London Road. Anyone who doesn't get off here is going all the way to Brighton. I say all the way. It literally is just across this this viaduct. You can hear the seagulls. You can tell we're getting back towards the coast. Lock those doors. Of course, the lights go off when the doors interlock as well, which is a really nice touch. Next stop, Brighton, in less than 1,000 yards. Wouldn't you know we get the DTG fog just as we're going across one of the main scenic areas of this route. There's many a screenshot been taken going across this part of the route. It's quite impressive, isn't it? So the depot is there. You can see the depot buildings, and then going off along that wall up there is the London commuter route. So you can, in effect, come in on a service like this, change DLC quickly, and come out of Brighton again, off up to London, if you wanted to do that. I think that's where the merges would be good. If merging routes was a possibility in future, that would be really good to be able to do that. Because I'm liking the merges that are happening on Train Sim Classic, I've got to tell you. I've run the full East Coast main line, by the way, in TS Classic the other day. I will plan to make a video on that at some point. I'll run it again. And I haven't got a merge for the West Coast main line, but I have gone all the way up the West Coast main line from Euston via Birmingham up to Glasgow. I've done that as well. So we'll do those, but that's TS Classic. But merges in TSW at the moment are not a thing, so I'm hoping somebody somewhere is working on that as a little side project, if you will. Here we are at Brighton. Actually, the mist and the fog adds something to that, doesn't it? You know, under the station canopy, it looks quite good. The wooden platforms are well done. So this is going back to Seaford at 10:41. So we arrived at 32. So we gave everyone a few minutes. I mean, there's only this guy that's waiting to go back to Seaford. And there you go, 38, near 39 minutes. And I hope you've enjoyed that. This is number 1 in the series. It covered East Coastway and the 313. Who knows where we'll go next, but be sure to keep an eye on the channel, and we'll pick out the next one, and we'll head there, and we'll take another look at DLCs we've not seen for some time. Thank you for joining me. Please do leave me a like if you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.